Hey everybody, Off the Mic Wrestling Show YouTube channel here. I feel like this is a weekly occurrence where I talk about the AEW ratings because it's popular discourse in the wrestling, sphere, wrestling social media, the IWC, and you know, I thought about this last night in the aftermath of what I thought was maybe one of the best closing angles that AEW's ever done, one of the best closing angles of the entire year, with Hangman Page literally burning Swerve's house down, which is as powerful of an image as you can say. I'm not going to engage in the discourse about if it was really Swerve's house or not. At some point, you have to suspend some, belief in some truth in kayfabe. Nonetheless, it was a very powerful angle. But the ratings came out today, and I don't have the quarters in front of me, but I'd imagine at the end of this show, which with the best thing that they did, maybe in the entire year, the entire show was rated at 660,000 viewers. This is what AEW is. And if they want to grow, especially considering the level of talent that they have got to start doing stuff differently. I'm not saying you need to have house invasions and burning people's houses down, but have levels of heat into this feud where you are emotionally invested in something like Hangman Page burning Swerve's house to the ground. The reason why this is connected so well is this is a year-long feud that has been so well done. The violence is there. These guys, you see it on the screen within the context of kayfabe. These two guys fucking hate each other. It's like with CM Punk and Drew McIntyre. These guys hate each other. And I'll do another video comparing these feuds because I know a lot of people are going to say, oh, burning down somebody's house is bigger than breaking a bracelet. We'll get there at some point. But back to what this video is about. 660,000 viewers for AEW on Dynamite this past week with a .19 in the 18 to 49 demo. Not that anybody cares what Dave Meltzer has to say. Guys is using the U.S. Open, the tennis tournament that's going on, ironically, which is going to host an AEW event here at the end of the month. That as an excuse. Guys, football is about to start. And that's not an excuse. You've been in the 600 to 700,000 range. You're not losing any more viewers. You're losing maybe a shade amount of people, which are the minimal amount of casual people that watch your product. If it was that big of a decrease, then you would be way, way, way further down. And, I mean, I know there was one week where Black Panther was on as opposed to The Big Bang Theory. And for whatever reason, The Big Bang Theory is honestly one of the biggest draws that AEW has because they continuously, even on syndication and on reruns, are generating a huge number for TBS going into Dynamite. So at some point, if you're AEW, you've got to look at this and say, okay, and you got to ask yourself this question, are we just catering to the marks, or are we serious about, growing the company? Because whether anybody wants to admit it or not, and Tony Khan will probably wait until the last minute to announce this, and who's to say if anything even has come about, they're going to get a new TV deal. I don't know what it's going to look like. But I'd imagine that they are going to get something done. The company is still at some sort of value. And believe me, as hard as it is for anybody who watches this channel to believe, I want AEW to do well. I love professional wrestling. That's why I do this show. That's why I do this channel. But to see this company continuously fall further and further down the totem pole and not learn from their mistakes, and then you have, like I said, maybe the greatest angle and the greatest feud that this company has ever done, and the rest of the show is in mediocrity or terrible. Like, what is going on here? Because I feel like I have to come on every single week and try to, analyze and break down this thing, and I get called a hater or a loser, or I'm not rooting for AEW. I'm against everything because these people are saying, oh, this is good, this is good, this is good. Listen, the goal is to gain viewership and gain interest and to gain popularity. When you're drawing these numbers and you're not able to fill up arenas, like I saw so many empty seats in Milwaukee last night. That's like the second biggest building in Milwaukee. They didn't even go to Fiserv Forum where the Bucks play. They went to UW Milwaukee, the campus, of a college in Milwaukee, the second biggest arena that they have there, and they couldn't draw more than about 2,000 to 2,500 people. It was a lively crowd, but again, the goal, if you are trying to build and grow AEW, which if you pay attention to anything that Tony Khan talks about, that is what they're doing. They're trumpeting up all these big signings. They're trumpeting up what they did at Wembley Stadium, which, by the way, you know, they lost about 27,000 people from the record-setting attendance that they had at Wembley Stadium a year ago. It was a good show, but it's not translating to weekly TV. It's not translating to ratings. And they'll get a new TV deal, but at what cost? Your best angle is at the end of the show when the least amount of people are watching. So until this company learns from its mistakes, it's going to continuously look weaker and weaker and weaker. And then you've got people in the media who continue to make excuses for Tony Khan and make excuses for AEW as to why things are not where they expect them to be, and saying, oh, best pay-per-view we've ever done. That's exactly why AEW is kind of in the shitter right now. I want them to do well. I really do. And it's because of angles and powerful feuds like a Swerve Strickland and a Hangman Page, or a Mariah May and a Tony Storm. But then you've got people that you bring into your company like a Mercedes Moné, like a Kazuchika Okada. Will Ospreay I'll leave out of this discussion because he's been fantastic since he got there. Like a Ricochet, who was nowhere to be found on this show. Guy's literally been there for 2 weeks. He is literally in the exact same spot he was in WWE. And all the power to Ricochet. He wanted to go there. But the fact that he was not booked and Kyle Fletcher, the guy that he beat, got a championship match is exactly what is wrong with this company. And why nobody outside of like the catered marks and the people who are AEW lifers, number one, who don't want to see the fault in anything and are just going to pat Tony Khan on the back and say everything's okay. That's exactly why this company is not where it needs to be. And I keep going back to Cody leaving. I keep going back to CM Punk getting fired. I'll even make this argument here on this video for the sake of just, you know, talking about the state of where AEW is. Biggest mistake AEW ever made was hiring CM Punk and then alienating him. Because you had chances to really nip everything in the bud, but you knew what you were getting when you were signing CM Punk. And he was not going to get along with everybody. And when your executive vice presidents did not want to play ball and wanted to spread lies and wanted to spin narratives about Punk's past and go and pretty much piss him off, that was the downfall of your company. So bringing in CM Punk when you guys were already on a really good trajectory in the first place was a big issue. And then now him going out the door and pretty much smearing you and getting inside of your head, forcing you to air footage from an event that happened a year ago. It's turning off people, casual people, like my sister. My sister is a, you know, she's getting into wrestling, and she's way more interested and invested in WWE because their stories and their characters are easier to get behind. When you're alienating your champion, like a Swerve Strickland, when you're not booking people properly, when you're giving Jamie Hayter 30 minutes notice, hey, you're wrestling on this show tonight, and telling the audience and giving her nothing matches when she's one of your top stars. It's just like, it's so disjointed. It's like they don't know what they're doing. And then when somebody dares to criticize them, they don't want to take it. So understand this. The point of these videos, and even though I'm very, very pissed off, I want AEW to do well. I really want them to do well. I want to root for them. But all of this love and this, like, you know, just patting on the back, when the reality is simple, year over year, you're down about, what, 100, 200,000 viewers. You lost nearly 30,000 people in attendance for your biggest show of the year. And your high-profile signings, one of them couldn't even get on Dynamite this week. Mercedes Moné, her credibility has dwindled to a point where it has done irreparable damage to her legacy. Kazuchika Okada is just stealing money at this point, where he is just operating at like 25 to 30% because he got paid way more than anybody else was willing to pay him. And he's like, you know what? I'm just going to go make jokes. Fuck that. This is supposed to be one of the greatest wrestlers alive. Mercedes Moné, this is one of the pioneers of women's wrestling, at least in this women's evolution. What the fuck is she doing? And nobody's willing to tell anybody that they're fucking sucking. And nobody's willing to just show numbers. Tony Khan has to get defensive. He has to do all these things to just tell people, oh, this is why AEW is doing good and you're wrong. And until somebody's willing to get in his ear or Tony Khan has an about face, nothing is going to change. And WWE is going to continue to be the flag bearer and the top promotion in all of professional wrestling. Case in point here, NXT this week did 631,000 while NXT did 660,000. 0.17 in the 18 to 49. That is with no main roster stars. No real, like, I mean, you could count Pete Dunne, I guess, but I'm talking about, like, there's not a Cody Rhodes, there's not a John Cena. These are developmental prospects in the developmental system of WWE in front of 400 people at the Performance Center. And that is nearly outdrawing AEW's top show. If that doesn't wake them up, I don't know what the fuck is. So, anyway, I feel like I have to do this as a weekly occurrence because at some point, maybe somebody will watch one of these videos and just understand, hey, you know, maybe we should start doing some things a little bit differently. And I'm hoping that what they did with Hangman and Swerve kind of wakes everybody up in that company saying, yeah, we need to invest more in characters and not so much in matches. Because then maybe you might get more people watching your product. All right, rant over. Like, share, and subscribe here on the channel. Follow OT Mike Wrestling on Twitter for show content, and follow me at Off the Mic 28 for my wrestling takes and for sports takes, crossover stuff. Trying to do a lot of different things on this channel. Thanks for listening, appreciate and watching, appreciate you guys, and all the love and support, and we'll talk again. Bye-bye.